Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we're here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, and is all about relating new perspectives on how to live a reasonable life. Living a reasonable life is all about living a life in which we're not asking others to change for us. We're grateful that they are as they are in our presence, and we allow them to be who they are and be what they are. You know, when we can allow people to be who they are, when we can allow people to do what they do, even if they're doing things to get revenge on us, or even if they're doing things to hurt us or make life difficult for us, even if they're doing that, odds are they're not. But even if they're going out of their way to exclude someone else, and if that person happens to be you, that's on them. You know, you go about your business. You don't submit to their control over you, but you surrender to the fact that they've chosen a direction to go in. And if they can't face themselves, there's nothing we can do to help them. Nothing we can do to, inspire them. We can't force them to be inspired. We can't force them to be good people. We can't force them to understand love and love of themselves. There's nothing we can do to force somebody to love themselves. And it is in loving ourselves that we're able to love others. When someone does something to get in your way, when someone does something to affect you in some way, anyway, and if they go out of their way to do that, and even if that's not something that, if that's something that you think they're doing, you're not 100% sure that they have done it that way. But even if they are, Sharon, how are you? So sometimes people, especially because this is a newer app, join and are unsure how to get their mic to work. And so I usually leave people on for a little bit longer. And sometimes they don't know that they've joined. And they're not exactly sure that they wanted to join. So I usually just leave them on for a little while, and then I'll take them off just in case they're not, that isn't what they expected. So Sharon, if you wanted to join, you are with me. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and switch you out with Catherine. And yeah, we'll move on from there. Catherine, how are you, dear?
I'm hanging in there, I guess.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of.
What's that?
I've had a lot of aggravation,
Okay.
and I've been trying to keep it in the front of my mind what you said about that victim mentality I carry, and it's becoming more apparent to me. So because I'm like, I moved into this crappy apartment, and I'm like, I kind of let myself get backed into a corner with this, and so I think part of my aggravation is with myself, and the choices I made that got me to this point. And so I'm like, I want to be compassionate to myself, because in my head, like when I think about it, I'm like, of course, I'll forgive you anything. And I mean, you have to make mistakes to learn, and I accept you completely. But then I'm like, I'm here in this crappy apartment, and if I had had more time or better planning, I could have found a better place, and now I have a home I'm not comfortable living in.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, if you don't mind,
yeah,
is that you're sort of backed into a corner and forced to choose between a couple bad options.
I really only had one bad option.
Okay. So you could not make up, you could not. So what I would do is so you are currently in this state. There's nothing you can do about that right now. You can move out. You can do all sorts of things like, to adjust that. First of all, let's pick a number.
Okay. 13 sounds right today.
13. So before I read anything about 13, I want to just kind of talk about like the cycle the cycles that we go through. Now you're close to work.
I am.
But that's not, that's hardly, like now that you're close to work, you don't think about the driving and the other things like that. Cause it's like now you only see like what's in front of you.
Well, I do think a little bit about how relieved I am I'm not driving in the morning because I remember how frustrated I was with traffic.
Yeah. So your frustration just kind of shifted.
Yeah.
So you're aligned with frustration.
That sounds right.
And my guess is you had no other option but to drive to work before.
Yeah, I was too far to walk.
Okay, see, here's the kind of crux of this, right? Like before you had no option but to be frustrated with driving to work. Now you have no option but to be frustrated with your apartment because of whatever the reason, right? Like, so there is this, you don't have options, and you either would like more options or you would like better options or something of that nature. Like my guess is your mind goes to that. You just want more options and you want to be able to choose better or what have you.
Yeah. My two biggest obstacles were my credit score and that I wanted to take my rabbit with me to get an apartment. So
yeah. So there are things that you're trading to limit some of your options. There's like but my guess, like, what was your childhood like, really briefly? Like, what were some of the high? What was if you were to some themes?
Quit being so loud and quit being so happy and be small and be quiet and go over there in the corner.
Stop. So all of that revolves around the way you described it, just in that little way, describes you had tried to, your options were diminished.
Yeah.
The things you could do were diminished. You were diminished. The things that you had to do in your life were diminished. And so this is a theme in your life. And when you have to move out, when you have anything going on in your life, the jobs that you're trying to choose from, you probably would like more options. The places that you would go, you would probably like more options. But you have, my guess is, you have a frame of reference that the world doesn't give you options. When you try to do something, you are told not to do it. You are told you cannot do it. You are told that that's not for you. Right. So that's my guess in how you frame the world that you're living in. And if that's how you frame the world you're living in, you're not only going to lean into that idea, you're also going to support that idea subconsciously. Because you're not the person that gets options. My guess is also that you work tirelessly at giving other people options?
Well, I'm sort of trying not to do that anymore, but I do.
That's
I try to
probably a thing,
do
right?
the best I can at everything.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
that way I'm offering everyone the best.
But you live your life in a way that doesn't do the same for you. So
Yeah.
let's look at number 13.
Okay.
Finding equality at the extremes. Okay, you are at the extremes. All right, this is what we're really looking at, like the extremes of like options, the extremes of reducing your options to that one that you have. You have one. You can only do one thing. That's an extreme. Okay, so let's look at this. To succeed and to fail are equally undesirable. Creation and destruction are equally present within us. What do I mean by to succeed and to fail are equally undesirable? Excuse me. The more success you have, the more you protect it by hiding failure. The more you associate with failure, the more you embody it. When neither success nor failure is identified as the destination, being becomes the objective. What do I mean by creation and destruction are equally present within us? Having a body and mind with which I identify gets me involved in the manifestation. The manifestation convinces me of my actions, and so naming them, I both create and destroy, neither of which are unique. We're going to come back to that line. To see yourself with indifference, you will have faith in all things. To see the world with indifference, you will be able to care for it all. I want to go back to this creation and destruction are equally present within us. Having a body and mind with which I identify gets me involved in the manifestation. The manifestation being, your single option, the thing you're forced to do, the thing you're forced to stop doing, the things like when you try to do things, when you try to sing, you're told don't sing. When you try to make art, just don't make art. When you try to be creative, don't do that. That's not what you do. And you're like, but that is what I do. Well, not anymore. Like that's how,
Wait.
What's that?
That's about how it went.
Right. And so the manifestation convinces me of my actions. So the first time you're told to not do something, you're taken aback. You're like, wait, but that's what I do. And you give up a little bit of yourself. And inadvertently, this is what I talk about living under the influence. You're under the influence of all of this conditioning that you had to go through as a child. And that conditioning taught you that you don't have options. You can't reach into your bag of tricks. You can't creatively find an answer to this because you don't get the privilege of engaging it. So the manifestation convinces you of your actions, convinces you that this is true, convinces you that the world does not give you options. The world does not allow you to be yourself, does not allow you to solve your problems on your own. The manifestation convinces you of your actions, and so naming them, you identify them and you name them in the abstract, in your mind and what have you. You both create and destroy. You create this truth by destroying your truth. So you create the world that you're living in by destroying the possible world that you can be creating through you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how do I stop?
Well, I mean, my work is really just like what I say is awareness. If you're aware that, because you're identifying with the manifestation, you're the victim, right?
Okay.
You're the victim of he told you to move out. Yes. But my guess is for the last 2 years, you kind of like had little inklings, little thoughts that you should probably move out anyway.
I wanted to move out.
See, that's your fault, right? It's like you could have had more time if you would have been aware and taken seriously your feelings, but you didn't because you believe you can't have what you want. And so you created this situation by not trusting yourself.
Wow. I just want to think that felt really profound what you said. I believe I can't have what I want.
Yeah, no, you do. That's absolutely true because I can see it in just what you told me today in 15 minutes. Like I can see that that's the truth. Just in how you're presenting the world that you live in. And so you have to become aware that, like, one, you can have what you want, but you have a belief that you can't, and you have to start to challenge that belief. So you're currently under the influence of this belief, and you want to get out from under the influence of it, which starts with awareness.
Great.
And that awareness will open you up. That awareness will get you to try and trust yourself more. It actually doesn't take long. It's a big, like, like I think JK and I were talking about this one day where it's just like you're trying to keep everything in that closet, but it keeps spilling out. It's just like, no, let it spill.
I remember that analogy.
Yeah, let it spill out, and then you can start going through it. It's a lot at first. Because you've been doing this in every area of your life, from your jobs to your relationships to your housing and to your diet and to everything that you do. It is laid out with that as the underlying theme. And when you believe that, and when you invest in believing in that, then you get really good at it. So you're practicing believing that the world doesn't give you what you want. And you practice that every day. 24 hours a day. And you've been practicing that for, 30 years or whatever it is.
Well, hopefully I stop a little bit when I'm sleeping. At least in my dreams,
hopefully,
I believe
right.
I can get what I want.
Hopefully. I mean, your belief is deeply rooted. So it's about starting to practice other things. You can come back up because we can continue going through this if you have the time, because you're going to drop off. But yeah, that is at the core of so many of our things, and really putting it together, like you told me about your apartment, and that is a frustration. And due to it being a frustration, I know it is a signpost. It's a signpost telling you about yourself. Like,
I am making notes about what kind of place I actually do want to live in. Because part of this was, I guess I did get what I wanted, like, in my head, I was like, I just want the cheapest apartment I can find, and I'm going to make it work. Because I'm trying to cut back my expenses somewhere.
So right? Here's the thing. Like, I'm going to take you a step back. Like, all of that, like, you start with the idea that you want a cheap apartment, but you want a cheap apartment simply because you are in the mindset that you don't have money. Right. Or you don't want to spend money. Well, you don't have money, or you don't want to spend money because you don't believe you can get what you want. And so it's easier for you to wrap your head around, getting an apartment than it is to wrap your head around changing your whole life, because now you're getting paid more, or you're getting money from other sources, or you're gifted, or your job actually like provides you with a condo somewhere, right? Like there are so many other ways of going about this. You start with, I can't have what I want, so what is the best thing, right? Like it. So this isn't this idea, this mindset that you have, this frame of reference that you have, is affecting even the way you approach thinking about your life.
It is.
And so dismantling the whole. And again, that's like opening up, like what you're doing is like you're opening the closet a little bit and taking one thing out and closing the closet and saying, okay, here's a thing I can take care of. And you're looking at this one thing going, okay, well, how do I organize this? Well, you don't have everything out of the closet, so you're not organizing properly. All you're doing is saying, okay, this is a plastic, I'll put it with the plastics. And then you open the door and you just kind of pull one thing out. It's like, oh, this is a paper product. So you're organizing in some way, but then when you open the door, all of this stuff is going to come out. You're going to realize that, oh no, I can't organize this by material. I have to organize it by functionality, or I have to organize it by color, or I have to you don't know how you need to organize it until you have everything in front of you. And so by you just sort of like taking one thing and then trying to challenge that thing within the frame of reference that you have, right? So you have a frame of reference that you can't have what you want. And you say, well, this is what I want. I want this kind of apartment. Okay, you get it, but you still don't feel like you are going to be able to get the money to do anything more. You don't feel like you can get the, resources or whatever, because you still have a frame of reference that is, you can't have what you want. And you're bargaining with that frame of reference rather than dismantling it completely. And that's finding equality at the extremes. Succeed and to fail are equally undesirable. What you're doing, and like to find the cheap apartment, or to or to stay in your old apartment, they're equally undesirable.
They are.
There's no, and so what you want to do, what in my humble opinion, right, like, is get rid of that altogether. And so at the end, where it's like, to see yourself with indifference, you will have faith in all things. To see the world with indifference, you will be able to care for it all. The indifference is about getting rid of this idea that you have to like at the core of this concept that you carry is that you have to struggle not getting what you want, and you have to do the best with whatever crumbs fall off the table.
I can't believe I'm still doing that. I am. That's from from my childhood. Okay.
And so here you go. You got this 4-year-old who learned this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how old you were, but whatever.
About 4 is right.
Okay, so about 4 years old, you learned this. You solidified this, and you said, that's right. This is the way the world works, and this is who I am. And you let that 4-year-old control most of your life, and now you're an adult. You're an adult, and you don't question why you allow a 4-year-old to control your frame of reference.
Well, she's me.
Yes, but she has not had all of the experiences that you've had.
Right.
She's only had singular experiences that have told her but then if you were able to take your mind out of that 4-year-old and look at the world, you would see how much you're supported and how much you get in your own way when that support comes. The first thing you say is, I can have anything I want as long as it's within this price range. And it's like, okay, well, you're starting from the frame of reference then, right? You're starting from the frame of, I can't have what I want. And you're right, you do have to have that. You do have to work within your means, by no stretch of the imagination. But your means can change. Now, maybe it's not going to change overnight, but maybe it will. But you also have to be open to trusting yourself, to allowing the idea of how it can change. You don't even consider it an option. You take what you can get, and you're not, because maybe you have the feeling that if you ask for more, you will get less.
Right, because I can't get what I want.
Right. And my guess is that if you were to press your parents to give you what they already told you no about, they would give you less.
Yeah.
See, it's just too predictable. Like you're because of that, you think you understand the world from that perspective. I mean, you do understand the world from that perspective. The problem is the world doesn't work that way. And your spirit doesn't work that way, and you don't work that way. You are trusting the manifestation. You are involved in the manifestation to such a degree that you believe that this physical world is the thing that is truth. But you, outside of the manifestation, is what's actually true. And that doesn't have a limit.
Right.
And there are no extremes there. You are just being. And that doesn't mean that fear doesn't.
Which is why the extremes are equally undesirable.
Absolutely. Right.
Okay. Great. This was a good talk, Martin John. I got a lot to focus on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. All the time. Anytime.
Thank you.
I'll send you the text. You have a wonderful day. For those of you wondering, I'm just taking a pause right at this moment. We're all carrying silly frames of reference somewhere. And when those things pop up, when we're challenged, when we feel triggered, whether that's frustration or anger or fear I even look into my happiness and my exuberance and things that make me, I even look there to find information about myself. And when we have a belief of the world around us, here's the thing, we're born and we're not exactly blank slates, right? We do have pre-karmic things that come in with us. But when we come in, we don't have a frame of reference. And because we don't have a frame of reference, and we want to make life easier, we make a frame of reference. Cool beans, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Right on. Interesting. So, suffering DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness from power running the other day uphill. I do this every day of my life, and my body's like, dude, you got a little bit of healing to do from that one.
Yeah, no, we get exuberant. We get excited about doing stuff.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm, 12 years old and it's like, dude. And, you have that kid-like mentality and you get after it. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the next morning you're like, oh my God, I'm in my mid 50s.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Good
yeah.
reminder.
But yeah, outside of that, sometimes I feel like I'm just taking space when I'm not really working through anything. Isn't that an interesting thing?
Yeah. No, I think that, there's nothing to do, right? There's nothing to work through. There's nothing like we do that because we're intellectual beings, but really you're just being.
Yeah, I'm just being
Yeah.
and traveling. And my ex and I, we stopped yesterday on the patio and we just sat back and talked a little while. And something that I had told her because it's always a touch and go, like little bits and pieces, and it's more along where she is in her world. And wonderful, And I told her, I said, well, don't expect me just to disappear and run away for this. I'm kind of curious how this is going to play out in the long run. And so, I'm living a clean life and just enjoying things. So I figured, Dow has its numeric automatic picking number machine and see what it brings today.
52. Like Tao, so too you. This one reminds us that we're not separate. Tao acts on the world as we act in our lives. It's an inspiration. And it reads, all things issue from Tao. It is their mother. Then in their own time they return to Tao. Like Tao, so too you act in the world as manifestation. When you recognize you are the mother of your experience, you can identify the children that your actions birth. Love them as your children and you free yourself of sorrow. Choose not to recognize your motherhood, a victim filled with desire and judgment. There will be no end to your turmoil. Look into the darkness and learn how to yield. Not allowing your senses to guide you, you will find peace in every crevice.
Wow. So that just really, to me, sounds like ownership of who you are and your actions.
Yeah.
Because our actions are the children, right?
Our actions are what the children get issued from, right? So all things issue from Tao. It is their mother. Then in their own time return to Tao. Like to, so too you act in the world of manifestation. You act, and the consequences, the things that come back to you because of your actions, like your soreness. You got excited and you moved in
your joy.
You moved in this way, which was like, okay, you were so excited, you went out and ran. Wonderful. You ran and you did the trail running and you had a blast. Now you're sore. You could be the victim of your age, or you could embrace this as the child that birthed.
Oh, yeah. And that's most certainly the way that I look at many things.
And let's look at the running. The running was the child that was birthed through the sitting with the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about the woman. The woman was the child of the decision or the inspiration to go for a walk that day. And that walk was the child of, and if we look at Catherine really briefly, Catherine's choice of the apartment was the birth of how she dealt with her getting kicked out of her last apartment or her not getting her new lease renewed. But that was the birth of, and the way that she did that was the birth of her idea that she can't have what she wants. And so all of that, like, if you're the victim, you're not taking responsibility. You're not taking responsibility being the mother of this experience.
Mm-hmm. That makes good sense.
You know, and when you take the responsibility of being the mother of your experience and understand that there are things that you did that took you here. You know, if you play the victim, then you don't take responsibility for it. Now, again, you don't submit to other people, but you surrender to their, you surrender to the fact that they don't want to renew your lease. You surrender to the fact that this woman wants to talk to you or doesn't want to talk to you equally. You surrender to that. And then how you respond to that creates the child that you can then love.
All right. I'm not having too much of an issue with loving this child, I tell you what.
I bet. It's beautiful to feel your body, man.
Dude, and even more than that, like decisions that I make, I have such ownership in my pieces, and you know, and then willing to like not dwell on consequences of my actions or whatever. You know, I'm pretty darn good at like, you know, the epiphanies of whoops or any of those, you know, and understanding and get love and life.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are talks when people have guilt when someone listens. You know, it's interesting to, this has been a wild, I don't know, 5 or 6 days now that everything just feels, very leveled out and even and calm, and, you know, my brain with things that have happened at work and extra relationships amongst friends and stuff has just been so calm and easy. It's pretty wild. Pretty amazing experience. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah. You know, things ebb and flow, but I'm glad. I'm glad that's
you know, there's a term in science. It's called punctuated equilibrium, and that's that life doesn't change quickly. Life is the same for a long period of time. And then something happens, global warming, temperature change, something, ice age, and life adapts very quickly. And I kind of feel like our lives are very much like, you know, like we can be in these areas, and someone gets in like something, suddenly it's uprooted.
Yeah. You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you're...
Thank you.
You're stepping away from... Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'm
so
do you
glad. Need to step away? Want me to hold the mic a little bit?
No. I thought you were stepping away.
All right on, man. Hey, I really appreciate it. Everyone have a wonderful morning.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead and kick me off because I got a coffee in my hands and
absolutely.
a steering wheel in the other hand.
You're gone. Thank you. So 52. This is, this is a profound verse. All things, I'm going to read it again. All things issue from Tao. It is their mother. Then in their own time, all things, in the time of all things, they return to Tao. You return to Tao. And, sometimes you do something and like, I remember Cool Beans when he talked to this woman, and it was a couple days until he ran. I think may have talked to the woman on Sunday or Saturday or something, and so here it is Wednesday, and he didn't run until Tuesday, right? So he was integrating all that conversation and stuff because he had said that she had inspired him, or that conversation inspired him to do that, and that's Tao, right? Tao comes in, makes an interaction, like you engage with your surroundings, and then all of a sudden you're inspired to do something, and that all of a sudden might take years. Might take years. Like you interact with someone, and 6 years later, you're like, you're finally kind of open to seeing something shift. And then the line says, like thou, so too you act in the world of manifestation. All things issue from you. You are their mother. Then in their own time, they return to you. Yep, Cool Beans is coming back. Did you put your coffee down? How you doing, man? What's up?
There's more inspiration behind all of this. Just to let everybody know, and if you're cool with it, I didn't see anyone in the stage.
Yeah.
Well, I am an avid mountain bike rider, and I do big races at the end of the year, anything from 70 to 80, 90, 100-mile bike rides, mountain bike rides too, which is a little bit different than road riding. And, yesterday, yesterday was the first day outside the run, and I felt really good, hip soreness and things like that. And it's like, dude, I've already got the cycling under my belt. This was a 10-mile mountain run. Why not look at swimming a mile, getting those 5-mile mountain runs into 10-mile mountain runs, and go out and just feel up a half Ironman.
Yeah.
And just one thing leads to another. If my body is this strong at this age, why not? Why not open the door for more? To see what I can do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like I'm not searching and I'm not shopping, but my next sailboat's going to come into my life. And I know that's going to happen sometime this summer.
Beautiful.
But right here, it's like, I can do this. Yeah. It is. We just got to have the bits and pieces, So there's more inspiration where it's like, a conversation around the fire led to, I should try trail running again too. Dude, why not go for an Ironman?
Yeah.
Well, I have. I'm gonna stick with the half. I got a full-time career. I don't know if I have time to train for a full Ironman.
And even if it's not about the destination. Like just having the thought,
the journey.
Right?
Yeah.
Just having the thought will send you on a journey that you wouldn't have gone on had you not had the thought. So even if you'd never do an Ironman, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is what you do and how you're inspired and how you treat that inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a wonderful sensation, and everybody in their journey, feel the journey. If if you have a goal to hike Humphreys Peak, stop focusing on the top of the peak, and don't miss out on the journey getting there because you're so focused at the top. Deep Purple, and one of their songs, it's not the kill, it's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah.
And that bit of living and being in it. And, let's see what happens. Let's see what goes. And that's beautiful. So, that mothering many things.
Absolutely. And we always are. And that's the thing. But by loving them as our children, and they aren't to be exploited. We don't just do this so that we can tell the story. We do it to live it.
To live it. Exactly.
It has nothing to do, like so many people do things and then they want to tell the story and laugh and be jovial about what they did. But it's like, it's not about what you've done. It's about who you are along the way.
Yeah. So there's a part of this I don't know if I discuss. My left leg was severely injured in a telemark skiing accident. And I legitimately, over 10 years ago, flipped my foot upside down in a ski boot. And I tore everything off the side of my foot, tore the Achilles, tore the bones. My Achilles cracked my heel in 2 spots. And then there's like 2 main tendons that are between the tibia and fibia. I tore both of those, destroyed my meniscus. And it was, 13 months before I could
just stand up without looking like I was going to fall over. And so these injuries took a long time to heal. I didn't have insurance, so nothing was ever replaced or rebuilt. And when I finally did have insurance 6 months later, a doctor told me I will never run again.
Well,
I would never ski again. I would never bike again. That I would never be able to stand straight up. And I sat there and I was like, "Oh, you want to bet?" You know. So these things are still injured in there. I know it. I feel them. So now knowing that as those children and nurturing them, I have to nurture this part of me to see that I can make this 10-mile mark that I could not do years ago.
Absolutely.
So there's an added part of this adventure.
And in all of it, whether you make it or not, that experience is your child that you will have to learn how to love, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And that's what this is really kind of getting to. It's like, no matter what this is, if you trust and engage the manifestation, and you only utilize the manifestation as like, I'm the victim, or I'm, this, or this is what I want. And if you focus on what you want, well, yes, okay, you can want to run 10 miles, and then you can go out and attempt to run 10 miles. Whether you do or not is irrelevant. It is the journey of doing it. It is the journey of wanting it. It is the journey of trying to achieve it, and the openness of you to have the experience that you're going to have, regardless of what the outcome is, because the outcome is ultimately always you birthing new experiences.
Yeah. Same thing with love and relationships.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm gonna step into I'm gonna listen a little bit more, because you probably got one more to read, and I got half a cup of coffee, and I'm halfway to the gym. Hey, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Anytime. We got Julie coming in now. Julie, so good to chat. Oh, cool beans, man. Cool beans, definitely.
Hello.
Julie, how are you, love? Look at all those lily pads behind you in that pic.
Oh, hold on. What am I doing? There we go. Let's turn the sound up. Right, okay.
Turn it up. Listening.
So,
Pump up the volume.
pump it up a little more. Get your booty.
That's right.
This morning, I'm just listening to Cool Beans and what you were talking about with him. And I had got up this morning quite early. This is my last day at the Travel Lodge, last 24 hours. And I packed a bag with some things that I don't really need now, that were my comforts as we were in this room. And I was looking at this Travel Lodge sitting in the van. And basically what you said to Cool Beans was exactly what I was thinking. So I looked at this Travel Lodge and our time here and my fresh day today. I realised something absolutely wonderful. I got myself here. I had created this experience with the interaction. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And, this experience will bode me well.
Yeah.
It's a rest period, really, no responsibilities, to the point where I was actually dreaming of having responsibilities, which is quite interesting.
It's nice, yeah.
Yeah. So it is good to just be in the moment. When you have an inspiration or an idea, it's good sometimes just to sit with that, really. Like, say our favourite thing, which is far out.
Far out.
On a far out moment this morning.
It's so good. Like, when you're in the midst of something, especially if you're in the midst of a time where you're feeling, in comparison to other people, maybe you're feeling still, or maybe you're feeling unproductive, or maybe you're feeling however you're feeling.
Yeah.
But let's say that feeling is not good. We wouldn't classify as good, quote unquote.
Okay.
When we identify ourselves as being not quote unquote good or not doing something that is good, then that immediately puts us in the running for doing something bad, or doing something, being lazy or being this or being that or whatever, and when that happens, when we're in the midst of that, we could feel like it's bad. It can weigh on us, or we can try to come up with excuses as to why it's okay for us to be here. Or we can come up with, but the thing is that's just the way we're feeling. It's not. There's nothing good or bad about it at all.
Yeah,
there's nothing. There's nowhere we need to be.
Yeah, it's taking out the judgment factor, and the judgment factor comes from within. It comes from us. There's no one else judging us.
Nope.
The planet's not judging us. The experience isn't judging us. Just that feeling is just a feeling. And as soon as we place it to good or bad, then that's us putting our kind of perspective or judgment on it. I just sat there this morning. I didn't feel good, didn't feel bad, but I was just present really with it, I think is what I was trying to say. And I actually enjoyed that moment, looking back at the sign of the travel, looking at the door, thinking about the amount of people that I'd spoken to that I never knew whilst I'd been here.
Right.
Remembering things like the comfortableness of the bed and having clean, shiny hair, these kind of luxuries. And also remembering in there as well the time of doing nothing and not feeling bad about it, just the experience of doing nothing. No good. It's great. I love that.
Absolutely. And it's so good for us to just have faith in this, and that's the thing. I'm going to say, I use this term, have faith, and I really kind of have trouble with that term because it's a supernatural term for a manifested experience, right? You can't actually have 100% faith in something, right? To believe in something to that degree, but we try, and we, to allow ourselves to trust ourselves and trust, what, I don't have any energy to do this. I'm not being called to do this. Recently, I've been thinking that, I've been seeing in my actions and stuff. I'm I might start seriously making art again, in some fashion, outside of just my portraits for my healing work. And so I've been doing sketching, but I'm kind of noticing my stillness. In my stillness, I'm being maybe I'll get some wood blocks and start making some prints, or maybe and so the thoughts are starting, and I'm intrigued by it. I'm not going to invest in those thoughts, meaning I'm not going to just act on them. I will wait for inspiration to get me to act on them. I'm not gonna because there's so many things I have to do right now anyway. So it's not. But I recognize that something is lurking, and without the stillness, I wouldn't have been able to recognize. I wouldn't have been able to see that.
Yeah. It's the birthing. You're in a birthing time that may inspire you to go forward with the idea that you're birthing, or it might just stay as an idea that you've birthed.
Right, and it might the idea that I'm leaning on art, in printmaking or something that's currently, that could just be shorthand for something that still has yet to be birthed. And I think that sometimes, when we have this bit of inspiration, that little bit of inspiration, we make a lot of assumptions about. You know, I can make assumptions about, the thought that came to me was, block printing. So I'm going to go get a block and And I'm just like, well, wait, let's just let this fully develop before I start investing in it being something specific.
Yeah. Could be just that you got to get yourself some chisels and you end up not.
Yeah. And then I'm knee deep in wood chips and I'm like, this isn't it.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to get the world around me to tell me it's it. So I'm going to look for praise and I'm going to look for, and that's not the reason that I'm having this thought. I'm not having this thought so I can get praise or support or anything like that. I'm having this thought because it's here. And I don't, and maybe in bringing it to my frontal, cortex, in bringing it to my mind, it is simply me kind of filling in the blanks rather than allowing myself to actually be inspired.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I get you. It's the other thing that I wanted to add to this experience of looking at this travel lodge and the windows and the sign and just the realization that I've been here. And there is change, which is always change. Every day is a change, every day.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of thought, I have no idea what's going to happen next. And I was really happy with that because then I'm not setting any goals. I'm not setting any ideas out there. I'm having a loss from ideas and I'm just going to go with faith, as you say.
Yeah.
Discover the new experience that's going to be had. It's wonderful and it's a pleasure to be able to be in existence right now, to be able to do that.
Absolutely. While you're saying that, I clicked on the random number. Do you have a number for today?
No, we'll go for a random. That's lovely.
Okay. So while you were speaking, I clicked on a random number just because I was like, I want to kind of tap into this energy. And 58 came up, which is, and I don't know if we've read this. I know I've read this more recently, but I don't know if it was with you. It was to oversee, don't interfere.
Nice.
And I think that because like what you're doing is like this is your life. You're just overseeing it. It's not like you're controlling it.
No,
you're just overseeing it. It's about observing the life that you're having and watching it and learning about like yourself throughout the experience. And this says, in overseeing anything, don't interfere. Let everything flourish in its own time. So beautiful. Interfering, you get met with resistance or worse, apathetic adherence. Misery and misfortune are tied to expectation. To expect success is to focus on failure. To expect happiness is to invite misery. To expect moral adherence is to flirt with tragedy. There is no escaping it. Expecting good yields bad. This is interfering, and it has always been true. The master, therefore, is content with simply being an example. She has no desire to impose and trusts all that she oversees. She is firm but yielding. She is sharp, but none are cut by her. She is radiant, but easy on the eyes.
Thanks.
Absolutely. And you are.
I looked at myself in the mirror this morning and I thought, oh my gosh, Julie, you're easy on the eyes.
Yes, you are, love. And that's, like when we look at this as being just you, let's say we remove everybody and everything else and there's just you and overseeing yourself. Don't interfere. Yeah. Yeah, let everything flourish. Let everything within yourself flourish at its own time. And interfering is that judgment. Interfering is that you should be doing things. You shouldn't be doing things. Like the frames of reference we carry. Interfering, you get met with resistance or worse, apathetic adherence. And that's what happens in our lives, like we can feel that resistance come up when we try to do things, right? We can feel it. And sometimes we just push it down. And then there's the worst apathetic adherence. It's like, oh, I should do this, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to resent not doing it, and then I'm going to judge myself, and I'm going to continue to judge myself until, I do it reluctantly. It's like, oh, what a journey that is. Once again, in overseeing anything, don't interfere. Why interfere in yourself? You know what to do. But again, that takes faith.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there and I've done all of those things.
Yeah.
I have interfered so much in who I am, where I am, what I am, how I'm perceived, how I perceive myself. All of that. I've spent a lot of my time in my life doing all of those things, and the freeingness of not interfering has had a kind of beautiful effect. It really has freed me up with no burden.
Yeah.
No, this is the thing. I'm not even carrying a burden of being me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a burden for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is. So, yeah. And as for the journey will be whatever that journey is.
Right. You can't make it like, we really lean on this idea of cause and effect. If I do this, then this will happen.
Yeah. That's not the case.
So, yeah, no, what's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah.
Shelley, that's number 58. She's asking what number that is.
It's a good one, isn't it? It's a really good, very, very apt today. So I've appreciated that.
Yeah. And it's, I really like, the two that we read today in the 50s, 52 and 58, which is, 52, like Tao, so too you. I know you and I have read that one before.
Yeah.
It issues from us. Like, we are the mother of this experience we're having. And then to oversee, don't interfere. Like, don't interfere in this experience that you're having. Don't judge it. Don't put any pressure on it. Don't expect it to be anything. As it says, misery and misfortune are tied to expectation.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you. And P.S. before I go, 1
1 and then you cut out 1 I don't. I'll think it over. If that's a riddle, I'll think it over. 1 and the nice thing is, I start thinking about, is it like ONEWON, or is it ONEONE, or so yeah, fun little riddles. I'll without a reference, I would turn to football. I know we talked about Millie. I don't know. I'll think it over. I'm going to go ahead and read 58 again for those of you, that are just coming in. And score. Oh, is it a score? I don't know. I'll have to see. It was the FA Cup last week, so that nothing was 1-1. Hull's was 1-1, but it did end. Hull did lose that. It was a crazy. But I'm not going to talk about football right here. I was saying, in overseeing anything, don't interfere. Let everything flourish in its own time. Interfering gets you met with resistance, or worse, apathetic adherence. Misery and misfortune are tied to expectation. To expect success is to focus on failure. To expect happiness is to invite misery. To expect moral adherence is to flirt with tragedy. There is no escaping it. Expecting good yields bad. This is interfering, and it has always been true. The master, therefore, is content to simply be an example. She has no desire to impose and trusts all that she oversees. She is firm but yielding. She is sharp, and none are cut by her. She is radiant but easy on the eyes. Melissa's going to join me. Oh, yes, I did I did hear about the forest liver. It's such a good result. Melissa, how are you, dear?
I am doing well, Martin John. I was liking what you and Julie were talking about, an idea being birthed, because I was reading my Noom lesson this morning, and I was challenged, and me and my challenges. I was challenged to come up with a mantra, all right? And my mantra is like, I'm on my hero's journey, and what is my mantra going to be? So I like alliteration, so I've been sitting here playing with like alliteration the whole drive into work, and so I want to share where I'm at with this mantra that's being birthed. Are you ready for it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we got mind-shifting Melissa makes more mindful moments materialize, manifested motivationally and mysteriously in maturation.
Whoa.
That's a long mantra, isn't it?
It is.
And you can see I like the alliteration there and the M. So, yeah, I'm not sure where that's leading me, but something is being birthed. And so I thought I would just share that on my hero's journey today.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And, like having a mantra that we can turn to, like, is so helpful. When I did the dark retreat, you've heard of that, right?
No, what's a dark retreat?
I spent
kind of like a sweat lodge where you're in the dark, something like that.
Well, yeah. So I spent 6 days and 7 nights, I think, in the dark. So I couldn't see anything. And being able to spend that kind of time with literally the only input is your mind, right? Because you can hear the outside a little bit, but you get no light for 7 days. So nothing's coming in. And mantras and things like that are really good when you want to be quiet but still occupy your mind. Mm-hmm. You don't have to turn on a show. You don't have to turn on music. You can just go through that mantra over and over again. And, when you're connected to it, even if you're saying it and it doesn't mean anything anymore, you know how that happens when you say something like, but you say it so much, it almost loses that deep connection to that emotional kind of meaning. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Absolutely.
But when you utilize it and when you keep going back to it, what's happening is you're cementing it. It's becoming part of your foundation. And then that goes into the world. And then you start to exude that. It's like, you are no longer the same person you were 3 months ago because of the work that you have been doing to change over the past 3 months. And then in 3 months, you won't be the same person you were today because you will have this mantra. And it's all, as a project manager, I always talk about like the idea of iteration. You just slowly add something new. You like I have a lot of chants and mantras and stuff that I go to simply to put my mind on the right track. Because many people's mantras are like I was talking with Catherine earlier, and she might not have a mantra that she elected to say, but her mantra, could have been something to the effect of, I don't get what I want. And then you just tell yourself over and over and over again, because that's your frame of reference. I don't get what I want. See, here it happens again. I don't get what I want. 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 And that's people's mantras. And they don't know it, but that's what they're telling themselves all the time. And so when you change that mantra, when you have a mantra that you can shift, and you can talk about your strength, and you can talk about you're maturing, and you can talk about your engaging manifestation and getting what you want, or being able to influence that manifestation. Slowly, you start to believe it, and you start to do it. And then it starts to become truth. And those words lose meaning because your life gains the meaning of the words.
Ooh, that's beautiful, Martin John.
I'm good at what I do.
I love that. Wow. I
You know,
really
like,
like
and
that.
you can look at, you know, like things that I say. If life is easy, everything is stupid. You're going to do it until you don't. These are all like little mantras that I have.
Right.
You know, and the meaning behind life is stupid, or not. Life is easy. Life is not stupid.
Everything's
Things are stupid.
Even life, Martin
even
John.
life. You're gonna give it up at some point. So everything is stupid. Even though I say that, it has a very specific meaning that, you know, maybe you did not. Maybe that the meaning wasn't the same for you the first time I said it, the first time you heard it. But what it means to me is part of this, is all part of this sort of idea of your mantra. Your mantra, like it does have a very positive thing for me. And it helps me see the world from a very certain perspective. Just like life is easy. I'm going to do it until I don't. Do I like that I'm doing this? All of these things are like little mantras that come in and build that foundation to our living and to our lives.
I love it. I thank you very much for letting me share my mantra and helping me see how that's being birthed into my spirit. And I'm going to keep repeating it. And it's funny, the post that I wrote it on says, do good quietly. So I'm going to go about and do some good quietly, Martin John.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Quietly is the best way to do it, because when you do it loud, it's just about you.
Oh, but I do have a challenge for the day. You know me and my challenges.
I know,
One of my
yeah.
students laid down a challenge. Since I got the 235 hugs the other day, I was challenged now to up it to 300. So that's my challenge for the day. I'm going to go forth and try to accumulate hugs.
I want to, do you have a moment?
I do.
Pick a number.
I don't have one. Can you pick one for me randomly?
Yeah. 32.
Okay.
And the reason that I wanted you to pick a number, I don't know what's going to come up. It's 32. It's not what you can see. But challenges, you know, challenges are great, especially when, you know, you can keep upping the ante and all that. But you know, well, let's read 32. Right. So subtle is Tao, it has never been seen, yet nothing that can be seen is without it. When beings can remain centered in Tao, all that they perceive is in harmony. As that harmony inspires actions, those actions will have names. Know that those names are provisional. If those actions inspire institutions to form, know where their reach should end. Inspired actions, although they may have names, those names needn't be taken too seriously. Tao is behind it all, even if you cannot see it. So what I wanted to say relates to this really nicely. It's the idea of those names, right? Like those goals, those challenges. Eventually, there's going to be a time where you'll be challenged to get 600 hugs, and your day will be not your day. It will no longer be you. It will be the goal.
Mm.
And I would, you know, and that's what this is talking about, right? As that harmony inspires actions, your harmony inspired actions to get you 253 hugs or whatever it was. Those actions will have names, right? That name is you successfully did this. You took on this challenge. You did this thing. Know that those names are provisional. You did this because you were inspired to do it. Now, it's the challenge that is inspiring you. And not that that's a bad thing. It's fine. I'm just saying that there is always a point, and I want to make sure that is always close to us. There's a point where if somebody knows you like a challenge, they can manipulate you through a challenge.
Mm.
And you want to be you. And maybe it's not the challenge. Maybe it's specific challenges, and maybe it's specific things. But you don't have to accept the challenge. You can, and if that's inspired through you, that's all these things. But this is where, if those actions inspire institutions to form, all right, well, you did this, and now you're going to do it again. Are you going to do it again and again and again and again? And are you going to keep upping the ante, or can you go a day without a hug? Is that a challenge that you would accept?
Oh, I would not like a day without a hug, Martin John.
Right.
I don't like that challenge at all.
Right. And so it's not about the challenge. It's about what you're willing to take on.
Mm.
And it's about you. It always is.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's more about sharing my love in a fun way, and, you know, being able to get in those hugs. And can I do 308-second hugs? I don't know.
8-second hugs.
Oh, yeah. You didn't know the hugs were 8 seconds?
I did not know there was a limit on there's so 8-second hugs.
Yes. Yes. So it started out, and Coach Dana started this a while ago. She said her daughter came home from college and said that a professor told her that we needed 8-second hugs every day for our emotional stability. And she's like, can you imagine like trying to get, and I'm like, yes, I can. I can imagine that. So that's where it started initially with 8-second hugs. And now it has evolved into, like you said, a whole totally different thing. And I didn't realize that I was just like upping my challenge every day. And, but yeah, I think it's just for me, you know, just a way to share my love with others in a fun way. And, I have a lot of love inside of me, and I just like to let it out.
And by no means am I saying is not a valuable experience, or it's not good, or it's not like there is no. I don't care, you know. like I
it's
say,
all stupid, Martin. John.
It's all stupid, but that and when we can kind of keep it in our mind that it is all stupid, we can see it from those different perspectives, and we can say, you know what, I want to do these. But if you were challenged not to do any hugs, right, you would not want to engage in that.
No, I don't like that challenge at all.
You know, and that's where you know, keeping harmony and making sure that our actions are coming from a space that's inspired.
Well, I'm going to go forth and try to be inspired to share my love with others. And if I don't get 308-second hugs, it'll be okay. But you have a great day. Thank you, dear.
Love you. Have a good one. All right. So I'm going to wrap up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am grateful for each and every one of you for listening and following along. I love the Tao, and I hope this is an invitation for you to be introduced to and to embrace the Tao as well. Thank you so much once again, and until next time, keep recovering yourself.